Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, we have done a story about Jeffrey this morning, and so now it's gone afternoon, so we'll do one about the Deviant Imp. In for a penny, in for a pound. Might as well do them both. Well, of course, Patrick Harvey has basically been insulting and sneering at people who happen to live in Morningside, which I believe is a rather posh area where people have no accent whatsoever, so I've been told. But I'm terrible. I do apologise for that terrible Scottish accent. But yeah, I'm only doing my best on that one. But certainly better than the gobshite that is Patrick Harvey, who's sitting there and sort of basically running them down and saying, oh, look at them, and picking on them. He's the least sort of person that should be picking on anyone. An obnoxious wee pro-IRA, pro-Hamas vertical turd. Although not very vertical, is he? He's only about 4'3". In his tiny socks, stamping his tiny feet and moaning because some people somewhere might be happy. Doesn't like that at all. Anyway, we'll take a look at this and see why he is having a little bit of a cob on, a little bit of a temper tantrum over people who live in Morningside. Here goes. Okay, sneering. Patrick Harvey insults hard-working Scots with petty Morningside statement. Well, he's such a tiny little petty man, isn't he? Everything about him is petty. He's petty-minded. He's just so riven, I think, with jealousy. His own life has turned out to be such an empty, joyless failure that he's just filled with hate for fellow human beings. Anyway, Scottish Green co-leader was accused of mocking people who faced sleepless nights as he addressed his party's conference in Dunfermline. It doesn't surprise you, though, does it? He's got nothing in his own life. He has to just spill the hate to everyone else, let the hate flow. Horrible little tit of a man. Anyway, Patrick Harvey has been accused of insulting hard-working Scots after he made a petty comment about the Edinburgh suburb of Morningside at the Scottish Green conference. The party's co-leader was told he was mocking the middle class with a callous remark at the event in Dunfermline. I've been to Morningside once. I was going up to Scotland. Someone asked me, could you drop something in? They gave me this address. And it was in Morningside, and it was these big, sort of a big crescent, and it was all these like Gothic townhouse things, architecturally fantastic. I suspect they weren't cheap to buy. I don't know what the price in Morningside is, but it kind of looks expensive, doesn't it? Anyway, Mr. Harvey, the Scottish Government's Minister for Zero Carbon Buildings, Active Travel and Tenants' Rights, was taking a shot at those who've expressed concern with the Butte House Agreement. Well, that's people within his own party, and certainly most people in the SNP who don't want to be there. But the people in his own party are like, oh, we've got to stay, because power. It's the only sniff of power they've ever had. It's the only sniff of power they'll ever get. What is the point of Patrick Harvey? I mean, if he was out of government, let's say, for example, he didn't get voted in next time, he'd have to go and do a real job. What could he do? He knows nothing. He's ignorant, he's stupid, he's uneducated, he's a failed politician. Everybody despises him, and he's shown his utter hatred and contempt for his fellow human beings. I mean, who would he work for? Chinese, I suppose. Anyway, he said, yes, even within the SNP, Humza Yousaf has faced pressure to ditch his Green partners over their anti-growth agenda, I just mentioned. Mr. Harvey referenced opposition to the short-term lease licensing policy that has left anyone running Airbnbs of additional costs and paperwork, and he dismissed critics of it as those whose hearts bleed for the oppressed landlords of Morningside. That's a very broad statement, because some of these things are run as actual businesses when you buy these things to run as businesses in popular places. Imagine there was no short-term letting available in the likes of Edinburgh. Think of all those places in Edinburgh that rely on tourists. Now imagine them boarded up, shuttered, unemployment rife, because nobody can afford to keep these places open, because there's no tourists. There's no tourists because there's nowhere to keep the tourists. There's no one for them to sleep and stay. But of course, tiny-brained, tiny men like Patrick Harvey don't see that, because they lack the cognitive ability to look beyond the end of their own tiny nose, or in his case, huge nose, from the lies and always sticking it in other people's business. Honestly, he is. He's like a little Gollum, isn't he? He's like a little. Oh, he is. He's just a pixie. He's a little pixie of a man. Anyway, Fiona Campbell, Chief Executive of the Association of Scotland Self-Caterers, described the imp's comments as deeply regrettable. She told the Daily Mail, he seems to find humour in the stress, anxiety and upset that the Scottish Government policies have delivered on behalf of the Green Party. And Miss Campbell added it was time for the Greens to be booted out of government. To mock people who face sleepless nights and an existential threat to their livelihoods is unbecoming of someone of Mr. Harvey's position and undermines his credibility as an elected representative. He's not. He's not an elected representative. He's a man whose party gained sufficient amount of votes for him to be on a list to get in. Nobody voted for Harvey. That's the whole point, isn't it? It is high time the green tail that continues to wag the dog is docked, she said. Well, it's not even the green tail wagging the yellow dog at the moment. It's a green dog. It's basically a green dog with a yellow tail because it's SNP government. Sorry, it's green government with the SNP backing them. Every policy that's going through is a green policy. That's why they're all failing. That's why they're all loathed and hated, because they're all crap. Murdo Fraser, Scottish Conservative business and tourism spokesman, said Patrick Harvey's sneering dismissal of landlords tells you all you need to know about his party's anti-growth ideology and his contempt for small businesses. The SNP claims they have a new approach to business community and will have zero credibility so long as they're in bed with these green extremists. And they are. They're Marxist. They are far left. I mean, the SNP are far to the left, but the Greens are way beyond that. I mean, they're down there in radio land, aren't they? They are so far to the left. It is unbelievable. Mr. Harvey told the delegates that green ideas have never been more popular. He's off his meds again, isn't he? Green ideas are only popular with the monsters in the Green Party. Normal people oppose every single one of them. I mean, normal people don't want men going into women's safe spaces, but the Greens do. Normal people don't want children sexualised, but the Greens do. Normal people find, the sort of the murder of babies abhorrent, but not the Greens. They're all for it. He added, people most want the agreement to fail are the same people who rant about an imaginary war on motorists. It's not imaginary when you keep banning the duelling of the A9, you stupid little tit. He says, who fear 20-minute neighbourhoods as a sinister conspiracy? Oh, 20-minute ghettos, 15-minute, 20-minute ghettos aren't a conspiracy. They are a danger to our way of life. They are a danger to the freedom of human beings. They remove dignity and they are all about control. And if anyone thinks that they're anything else, then they need to be educated big time. 20-minute ghettos, just look at the 30s. Poland, Warsaw. That's where your ghettos get you. And that's exactly what the Greens are proposing. So make no bones about it. They're as bad as those guys during the Second World War, if not actually worse, because they're in the guise of pretending to be beneficial. They're evil. Oh, I just can't even go on because he's such a nasty prick of a man, isn't he? Look at him, little ballsack he is. My left testicle's got more sense than that one. Certainly better looking. He's a hate-filled, maggot-ridden boil on the arse end of a party full of shit. That's all he is. Anyway, I'm going to come up. The only good thing is that come the next election, Patrick Harvey will be out. There should hopefully be a different government, and one that will remove dangerous, ultra-left extremists filled with hate, people who want to corral human beings into 15-minute ghettos, not being allowed to leave. Show your papers if you want to get out of the ghetto. They'll be making us wear yellow stars next. That's exactly who Patrick Harvey is. And don't forget, he's very pro-IRA. One only has to remember Omar and the murder of children there. That's his kind of people. And then when Hamas murdered children in Israel, that's his kind of people. The irony is, of course, with Hamas, if they actually got into any power with him, would throw him out of a building from a very high level. And that, I think, is one of the only saving graces of Hamas. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And let's not allow this hate-filled little tit of a man any more power. Let's kick the Greens out of government and have some kind of sanity restored. Bye-bye.